Hi, BookTube. Well, I've been sitting here for the last 20 minutes talking to a camera that apparently wasn't recording. I was just wrapping up my video, doing my leap year book tag, and noticed that the red light wasn't on. Wow, what do you do when that happens and you're just disgusted with yourself? Just having some seltzer water. Okay, I'm going to try to do this, and I'm going to try to do this again, and maybe it'll be even better than the first one, although I thought the first one was pretty good. Steve Donahue hooked me up, or tagged me, to do this leap year book tag, and I'm going to get it in under the wire. I am going to finish it tonight, because I feel bad. I've been kind of slacking on some of the tags. I still haven't done the vacation book tag, and there's a very good reason for that, and that reason is I don't really vacation. I work, I'm not a workaholic, but, I'm more of a homebody. I like staycations and things like that, but I do travel for work, so, I guess some of those questions could pertain to when I travel, what books I take and things like that, but I just thought, well, it's not as exciting. I just don't find that I have a very exciting vacation life. However, in the years to come, I'm hoping to change that and to vacation more, because that's a goal, and I want to go see Gettysburg, among many other places. So, but I'm going to do this leap year book tag. So thanks for the tag, Steve. I appreciate that, and I hope it's good. The first video I thought was good. I'm trying not to be bitter about this. Oh my gosh. Okay, so the Leap Year book tag, I think it's been around for about a week or so now, and I think it was put together by Amy Myers and Melted Books. I heard about it or saw it through Steve's channel. So let's start with question 1. An extra day. What is one book that brought a little something extra? Well, I've got about 5 books read already. I can't really answer that. I don't know what we mean by brought a little something extra. Did I enjoy it more? Can't really answer that. So maybe that's a no answer, or I'll come back to it if I think of something. Question 2, taking a big leap. What is one book that you are or were afraid to read? Any book that discusses the Holocaust and Nazi doctors. So recently, I think it was in John David's channel, he did a book haul, and I think I'm getting this right, but he mentioned a Robert J. Lifton, and he's a very well-known writer who interviewed Holocaust survivors and Nazi doctors, and while I would be intrigued to read it just to find out what the psychology is, because he's also, I think, a psychiatrist, what his analysis of that was. But at the same time, it's kind of a dark, it's a very dark topic. And so those are the type of books that I'm always a little leery of beginning, because I know it could take you into a deep, dark place. Also, any book on, like, 9/11. So I noticed, in fact, this is an applicable story, but I'm listening to the audiobook of Only Plane in the Sky, and it's one of the books in the BookTube prize judging round that I'm doing. And I'm listening to it, and I think it's the most effective way to read that book, just because they do use a bunch of different voice narrators for different people. So it does provide a lot of nuance and texture to a story. When you have different voices, you can really kind of imagine different faces and people talking. But they do include some of the audio from the air traffic controllers, and that just takes me back to a place where I was actually noticing the day or two that I was listening to it on the way to work and on the way home for like a couple days. I was very subdued. I was very somber. So those type of books, I'm always a little afraid to read. Anyway, question 3, every 4 years, what is the 4th book you read this year? That would be It's a new novel. It's coming out next month in April 28th, and it is The Upstander by Ian McGuire, who wrote The Northwater, which I went and researched The Northwater after I read this book, and that book actually sounds really good. I don't want to say too much, but I can say that, you know, I guess I was expecting a little bit more in-depth exploration of the characters' backstory. Got some, but not enough, and I felt like it was a little bit too shallow, and the ending felt so super rushed, and I wasn't happy with the ending. But anyway, I read The Upstander. Written very beautifully, mind you. That was not an issue. I think the story, I think it required a bit more. It's about 300 pages, but it felt like it could have really gone deeper, and it didn't. So, but that was the 4th book I read. Oh, so this is a fun one. Question 4: 366 days in the year. Looking at your 3rd shelf, name the 6th book on that shelf, and then name the 6th book after that. Got Gidget at my feet. She's like, "You just did a video. Why are you doing another one?" I know. I'm so sorry. Mommy's an idiot. Okay. They already got dinner, though. I don't know what they're complaining about. So this one was fun because I thought I have a lot of bookshelves, so which one do I pick, right? So I'm thinking, well, you guys always see the shelves behind me, so I thought I'd pick the 3rd shelf going from the left, so I'm going to go for this shelf here. But there's 6 shelves, so I mean, is the 3rd shelf, am I counting from the top or the bottom? So I said, why limit myself, right? I'll do the 3rd shelf from the bottom, and then I'll also do the 3rd shelf from the top. So you get an extra peek at what's on there. So the 3rd shelf from the bottom, 6th book in, is The Revenge of Geography by one of my favorites, Robert D. Kaplan. This is what the map tells us about coming conflicts and the battle against fate. I was introduced to Robert Kaplan in the 90s, way back in the day. I still remember that book. I probably do have it somewhere, but it's dated by this time, but it was called The Coming Anarchy. Kind of just detailing, I think Clinton was president, so it talked a lot about what was going on in Serbia and Bosnia and things like that. But it was very prescient at the time, I thought. In the years after that, it's like he didn't foresee things that were going to, political issues that were going to arise. And I have many of Robert Kaplan's books. Now, I do need to make sure that they're shelved together. Yeah, I've got them kind of spread around. But he is a fantastic writer in the vein of the, what do you call it, like the geography, like geo-journalism type of thing. Robert Kaplan and George Friedman are two I really enjoy for type of exploration of geopolitics. Yeah, so this is the 6th book in on the 3rd shelf from the bottom. And the 6th book after that is the 2nd volume in the Deidre McCloskey trilogy on the bourgeois. And this is volume 2, Bourgeois Dignity, Why Economics Can't Explain the Modern World. Indeed, look at that cover. It's fabulous. So the other 2 volumes, the 1st volume is Bourgeois Virtues, then you have Bourgeois Dignity, and then you have the 3rd volume, which is Bourgeois Equality. She was recently on the In-Depth 3-hour program on Book TV. I have it on DVR. I watched the beginning of it. Not sure if any of you got a chance to watch it or, take in some of it. I can link it below. I'm going to try to remember all the links that I need to put into this and the show notes on this one. But she's quite interesting. She was on to promote her new book, but also to talk about the bourgeois books. Her new book is on liberalism and why it is so important. And liberalism in the classical sense, not like a ultra politicized meaning of the word liberal today, but because these books kind of speak to that in a sense. But yeah, so this is the 6th book in, or the 6th book after the 6th book on that shelf. Now, if I counted from the third shelf from the top, oh, I can never get this right, you guys. Okay, here we go. Boom. All right, you can see there's some empty spots right there. So the sixth book in from the top on the third shelf is a chunkster. I love big bios, and this is, especially military history biographies, this is Douglas MacArthur, American Warrior, by Arthur Herman. Arthur Herman is fairly well known. This one was just blurbed to the high heavens here. You know, you've got H.W. Brands, John Meacham, Andrew Roberts. Everybody was just raving about this. This came out. I think I got it the year it came out. Ooh, did I? It was 2016. Wow. And Arthur Herman. Where are you, fella? Oh yeah, he wrote The Cave in the Light, Freedom's Forge. Oh yeah, he wrote How the Scots Invented the Modern World, The Idea of Decline in Western History, and To Rule the Waves, and Gandhi and Churchill, which was a 2009 finalist for the Pulitzer Prize. So that's fabulous. So yeah, old Doug MacArthur, he generates a lot of mixed feelings. You get people who either love him or hate him. Try to make excuses for him. The sixth book in from that is a book that I paired next to a very big biography on Calvin Coolidge by Amity Schlaves. But this is Why Coolidge Matters, Leadership Lessons from America's Most Underrated President, by Charles C. Johnson, with foreword by Charles R. Kessler, who is the senior editor, or senior editor at Claremont Review of Books. I know his name fairly well. So I was telling in the first video, I'm probably not going to tell it as well this time, but, you know, they called him Silent Cal because he was famous to have a very strong economy of words. He didn't say more than he needed to, which you'd wish more politicians would have that, you know, in this day and age. So the story was a journalist decided he was gonna really stump old Silent Cal, and he's like, I'll bet you, and he says this to the president, I bet you I can get you to say more than 2 words. Upon which Calvin Coolidge replied, you lose. I like that story. So, all right. So, and we are recording. I'm checking this button now every minute to see if that red light is on. Okay. So that was that. Now we're going to prompt number 5, which is leaping ahead. Name 4 books you want to read by the next leap year. Okay. So that could be any of the books I've talked about or shown on this channel recently that I have picked up, but I would like to tackle classicals in the sense of classical literature, but also classical studies, historical studies written by the Grand Masters, who are long gone, long dead, like 2 centuries at least. I want to go way back in time. I want to read the it's my goal to finally finish the 7 or 8 volumes of Edward Gibbon's The Decline and Fall of the Roman Empire. I want to finally finish that in the next 4 years. I also want to tackle David Hume and his History of England. I'm really intrigued about reading about a historian, a French writer I had never heard of before until I got my Liberty Fund catalog, which, you know what, I'm just going to do it again because I love this thing. I've known a few of you have already asked for it, and I've seen it on your channels. I'm so excited to know you guys went out and requested this for free just by sending an email. Liberty Fund. I will leave their link below, but this thing is gorgeous. I have circled so many things I want. And these are the classic works, you know. I want to read Hippolyte Taine's 3-volume study on the French Revolution. And I guess from a literature standpoint, I want to really knock out the Russians a bit. I want to, because one of my 2020 core books I want to finish is Crime and Punishment. But I also want to get Tolstoy, most of Tolstoy's major works read in the next 4 years, along with Dostoevsky. There's others. I'm looking over here to see Umberto Eco. I do want to tackle him. as well, but well, I guess he's not really in a sense classical, but still, I mean, there's so many books I want to read, you guys. There's just not enough hours in the day. So I think that covers about at least 4 books right there. Question number 6, Leapfrog. Name a book on your TBR that has green on it. Okay, so on my shelves, I have books I have read, but a lot of them I haven't read, so I just kind of browsed and looking for something with green, and I came upon, is it Carrion? I apologize, Karen. No. All right, Karen Elliott House on Saudi Arabia. The people, its people, past religion, fault lines, and future. This was put out by, this doesn't say on the spine here. This came out by Alfred Knopf, and this was in 2012. Still timely. It won't include a lot of the most recent things that have happened there with Mohammed bin Salman, but you've probably heard me mention before, I'm very intrigued by Middle Eastern history, and I like to take the countries on one by one, and there's one year I'll be totally into like Syria, and I've read a lot about Syria. I know in a while ago I did a lot of studying on Iraq and Saddam Hussein. I've read books on Iran, and in fact I have a very large book that is brand new. It's by Abbas, I'm looking at the Amanat, Iran, A Modern History by Yale University Press. It's massive. But I've also want to study Saudi Arabia because there's so much contradiction there. You know, we're allied with them in many ways. Obviously, we're tied to them through oil. But there are so many things that we do not, so many values and principles that we do not share as two countries. And I'm very curious to see where Saudi Arabia is going to go under, as they call him, MBS. The very young ruler now, Mohammed bin Salman. And then after the horrific murder of the journalist, I think it was Khashoggi was the name. You know, it's like, how do you partner with a country that does that? But then again, all politics is about power, and it's about getting what you want. And sometimes you have to, like, well, I mean, look what happened in World War II. We allied with the most brutal dictator of the time with so much blood on his hands, that's Stalin, right? But we had to hold our nose and ally with him to defeat another dictator who was just as evil and really threatened a lot of critical assets closer to home, to Western Europe and eventually to America. So I'm just intrigued by that. And Saudi Arabia has always been a bit of a riddle to me. People forget that or don't know, that the majority of the 9/11 hijackers were from Saudi Arabia. You know, they were Saudis. So they have the extreme Wahhabism religion there, which is another aspect of my studies that I'm often, whenever I see a new book, or I'm always looking for something that can give me more information on that. In fact, I have a book on the founder of modern day Saudi Arabia, Ibn Saud, and that's in my bedroom on a bookshelf up there. So that's another bio I want to read in the next 4 years. But anyway, this one does have green on the cover. There you go. Okay, so let me see. We're rocking. We're rolling. Last question. Great. Okay, so bad luck. What bookish thing do you steer clear of? Okay, couple things, and it's mostly an aesthetic thing, and that is I don't like to dog-ear books. I don't like to see books that are dog-eared. I don't like to see books that are abused. Broken spines are anathema, and I know I've gotten better about not being so, oh, what's the word? I wouldn't say anal. Some people might say anal, but you know, when other people handle my books, I'm always keeping an eye on them to make sure that they respect it properly. When I was a little girl, I was I think it's just because I was a very anxious little girl. I had some, you know, social anxieties there. I was moved around a lot when I was a little kid. And I escaped into my books, loved my books. So if like someone was visiting and they're, oh, what are you reading? You know, and they go to pick up the book, I'm like, ah. Because you know I always half expect them to like, you know, say with like a paperback or something, maybe like you know what I mean, like ripping it open, and no one ever really did that, but I was so against like don't even crease the spine, like, you know, be very gentle, you know. My sister used to joke that, you know, don't ask Peg for a book because, you know, you can only read it like this. This still cracks me up to this day. She knows that I've relaxed quite a bit since then. I've loaned her books, and like, you know, do what you will with that. I know my sister's a bit harder on books, not to the extent that I just said, but anyway, you know, I'm a collector, so I think that runs in my blood that I want to keep them all in like brand new condition. And in fact, I'm like the best type of seller if I were going to sell books. You know, and I used to sell books on Amazon used, and I know I listed everything as like new because everything was like new. You couldn't even tell that someone had held it, you know, read it, enjoyed it. So just the treatment of books, I steer clear of things that are beat up and also that smell bad. Let's not forget this. I know I might have mentioned before on this channel, the worst thing you can do when you order a book online and they give you a description, you can just cross your fingers and hope you're going to get what you get. But I think a lot of the people that write the descriptions don't smell the book. And I've had a few books, and one where I just opened the package and I had cigarette smoke just waft up into my face. I nearly threw up. Oh, it was so strong. I couldn't even keep it in the house in the package until I could decide what to do with it. I had to throw it out in the garage. And then I was like, you know what? I can't even donate this. This is disgusting. So, you know, it's like I'm just going to recycle it, I guess, if I can recycle it, or just throw it out, you know. So books that stink of cigarette smoke, that's another thing I steer clear of. If I'm shopping in a used bookstore, everything gets the sniff test. So, you know, they have to smell right. They have to smell good. So I think that is the end of the questions for leap year. I hope and it looks like I'm still recording. I can't believe that I just spent 25 minutes talking to nothing. Woo! Thanks, guys, for hanging in with me in the beginning. I was a bit miffed. Now, as far as tagging people, I think this has been around already for a little bit, and it won't be leap year, but, you know, Steve said, hey, you know, you could still do it for a couple days after that. I will tag all my friends, and you know who you are, but I think some of you have already done it. Yeah, I'm just going to leave it there because, and I'll link several channels below because I think I've mentioned several channels. I'm going to link Liberty Fund if you want this outstanding catalog celebrating their 60th year. And I noticed when I went to their website recently, and I will be having some Liberty Fund books arriving soon to show you guys. First of many orders, I think. They said these are a limited quantity. So they're not always going to have this available. But to me, this is something I'm always going to save because it's a great reference to what's out there. So I will link that. And anyone who wants to do this fun tag, please do. Okay, so thanks for also, I had a full description in my first video that this is the first time you see me in a ball cap. It's a very chill Saturday night. My hair was not cooperating. So I just thought, you know, I'm not going to go and do my hair. You know, I mean, the guys don't have to do that, right? You know? So anyway, you might see me in a ball cap here and there now and again. But again, it's a Saturday night chilling out. Hope you guys are having a great one. Thanks for all of the subscribers. And if you like the channel, please give me a subscribe. We'll have more history coming. Again, I have more books to unbox. I have a shipment from Book Outlet that came in on Friday. And also, same day, I put it on Instagram, a picture of it. 2 big boxes and a box of books from HamiltonBook.com. So I've got to start clearing off some of the shelf space on the books behind this camera and make way for those books. But I will show you those. So those are coming. All right, guys. Have a great one. I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.